What's going on, main characters? It's your boy Talks Too Much with Third Party Studios. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to be breaking down Captain America 4 Brave New World starring Anthony Mackie. We got out of the theater and we had a ton to talk about, and we're going to be going over all of it for you. This is a spoilers review, so please keep that in mind as we jump right into the video. Hold on, intro. It's intro time. Shush, everyone shut up! Yeah, I think we should jump into our first story. I think we should talk about the Captain America Brave New World, almost said Civil War. We got a story to go along with it, so let me just get through the headline of the story, and we'll talk about and we can talk about the movie. Captain America Brave New World, inside sources claim crew knew the film would be bad. Details troubled productions with reshoots, political turmoil, and a cranky Harrison Ford behind the scenes. Harrison Ford looks a little frustrated.
Well, he's just doing everything for paychecks these days. He doesn't give a shit.
I haven't seen one artistic project from him or one passion project from him. I mean, he literally joins a franchise. He rejoins a franchise just to have his character killed off in like the most disrespectful or like annoying way. He comes back to Indiana Jones. He's replaced as the main. He's replaced. He comes back to Star Wars and he's killed off in like the most disrespectful way possible. Let's throw him into an eternal pit of darkness after having his son kill him because his son's just in a mood.
In the Star Killer planet.
It's
Death Star Point 4.
Yeah, let's also make 9 more Death Stars. This is working. This is really working. We have a formula.
He also came back to Blade Runner, too.
Blade Runner, yeah. And then Ryan Gosling taking over as the Blade Runner.
Yeah, that movie gets shit on, but I like it.
I didn't really dig into, like, I watched the original Blade Runner, really enjoyed it, really thought it was good, but that was back when I was, like, younger.
Which of the 5 different movie cuts is your favorite?
What do you mean? Like I said, 20 years ago, probably like early 2000s, like was the last time I saw the OG Blade Runner. I probably couldn't speak to it intelligently, but here's okay. What were we talking? Harrison Ford. What did you think of Harrison? So we are going to be getting into spoilers. We're going to look at the reviews that are on Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb. We're going to talk about the cast, their individual roles, but we're going to just break it down, kind of go with go with the flow on it. So like, what did you think of Harrison Ford's performance? Like just his acting performance in this film?
Surprisingly, he was the best actor in the movie.
I think so. Yeah.
Put in the most, which is weird coming from Harrison Ford.
Do you think that if he was like just doing like Thaddeus Ross, not even like the Red Hulk was completely irrelevant to the story, like not a part of it. He wasn't the Red Hulk. He was just Thaddeus Ross being a pissed off general and the president. Do you think he would have? I think what I'm getting to is I think the worst parts of his role were when he was like morphing into the Hulk with the shitty CGI and everything.
I mean, yeah, well, he basically is just President Ross throughout the entire movie anyway. Red Hulk only shows up at the end. And like there's no like, the worst part was like when he's getting frustrated and he slams his 82-year-old fist under the table and it's supposed to be like a shut the hell up kind of moment.
Exactly.
It just looked so forced.
It did.
It like way over exaggerates the upswing on his fist.
Well, what I mean is that him being pissed off, like Thaddeus Ross, you look at the other actor who played him, William Hurt, you never see him pissed off like that.
No, he's composed and whatnot.
And so I thought Harrison Ford, all of the angry scenes, because it was that scene, it was when he's on the ship and he's about to turn, and then when he actually does, all of the scenes where he is getting like angry and frustrated, all of them feel forced. I think he just did a bad job with that.
It could be bad directing.
It very much could be, or I mean,
because he's just listening to a dude talk to him on the phone when he's getting angry.
You're angry.
It's like,
you gotta get angry.
You gotta get angry.
You gotta get mean.
It's so dumb.
Well, I also think
when he finally turns, that was a really dumb progression too. It's like because like, well, I guess we'll get into it because we got to set up a different few plot points before that, but.
The reason I think this movie is so hard to start talking about is because it feels like 4 different films. Because it was
4 different films.
Yeah, it was remade multiple times. You have basically several different points they tried to touch on and they just drop them into the movie and then never explore. Or they have 30 minutes of the movie that feels like it's on a certain trajectory and then completely contradicts the flow of like the next 30 minutes of the movie. So I'm talking like when Captain America's arc, when Anthony Mackie is playing through his character role, and you have him be like, I don't know if I could live up to the shield, man. And then in like the next scene, you have Harrison Ford's character being like, oh, remember when you were kind of a dick? And he's going through character growth. Like, you have entirely competing flows of story, and they don't really merge very well into each other. Like, the fact this movie was remade 3 times, was it 3 or 4 times? I think it was 3.
2.5 technically.
2.5 times.
Yeah.
The fact that it was remade that many times or reshot that many times, it's obvious. If you know that happened, you see it. It's clear as day.
Yeah, the whole "you got to do better" Senator speech at the end towards Red Hulk to get him to calm down. You can clearly tell that they just green screen Mackie into that scene that they already shot.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
It's like, oh, this is new.
Well, when they brought him to the cherry blossom stuff, I was like, oh, they're gonna have Betty show up, and she's just gonna be there coincidentally, and she's gonna talk him down.
That's what I thought too.
Because it's kind of like what her role was in like the 2008 one, where she had to talk down Edward Norton, and it's kind of just so full circle. Now she forgives her father.
Yeah, and it's not Captain America 4. It's the Incredible Hulk 2 without the Incredible Hulk.
Exactly. I think that Ross's character would have been really good to explore. I think it would have been really good to explore in this if you had given it a little bit more attention or a little bit more focus, and just like Captain America have already settled into his freaking role. It's like Anthony Mackie, even after this, he's not gonna have like confidence as Captain America. So it's like we didn't.
The whole thing throughout the movie too. It's like, you're not Steve Rogers, blah blah blah. Bucky shows up for a bit of a pep talk, which of course was reshot and edited into the movie. And it's there's a line there too that Bucky says. I was like, "Fuck you, that's bullshit." Where he goes, "Steve was what was it? Steve was a symbol of hope, where you're a symbol that people can aspire to." I was like, "No, Steve did both of those."
Yeah, Steve literally was the symbol to aspire to, because he was a scrawny like loser from Brooklyn,
right?
And so then he gets the super serum. And apparently that's a thing. Like, I don't
understand. Like, they address the super serum multiple times in the movie, but they never explain why he just doesn't fucking take it.
I don't know, man. Like that, you're right. You're right. They don't address it, and I think maybe that was probably something they touched on in the Falcon and Winter Soldier show. Probably. Here's the thing. I watched like a few minutes of that show. Caught the cliff notes from other content creators. Kept my mouth shut on it for the most part. I mean, we make memes about it, but for the most, I have not given it a review. I have not claimed to be an expert on the Falcon and Winter Soldier, but I didn't know it was going to be required reading for this fucking movie, because apparently I still don't know if it's required reading or if it's just that choppy of a movie where they were trying to touch on so many things that reference back to nothing.
Yeah, like Isaiah Bradley. No idea who that is. I don't know if he's in the show or not. But basically, he was another super soldier in Vietnam, and he got tested on by the government for like 30 years, and then they let him off the hook. But
yeah,
there's that, and then Bucky being a congressman. No idea about that either. That happened in the show.
No. Well, and you have, so we also have to talk about the trailer that we saw at the beginning or before the movie, where Bucky is apparently going to be part of the Thunderbolts. And so he's going to be a congressman and part of the Thunderbolts as like a superhero, like, and he's also a down on his luck guy. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I don't know.
Dude, even Kevin Feige doesn't know what's going on.
Well, I have watched more of the Phase 4 than I would have ever wished upon myself or anyone else, and I still have no fucking clue what's going on in this story. Like, I get this.
Yeah, you compare it with like Phase 1 through 3. You're like, all right, there's a clear line there.
Continuity, references, it all tracks. It's not multiverse theory.
Yeah, and then in 4 and 5, you're like, nothing's connected to anything.
No,
and none of it makes sense.
It's a multiverse nonsense. Like, I thought when they introduced adamantine. Okay, so yeah, another spoiler. They are introducing adamantine into this into the world through this movie, with the harvesting of adamantine through the celestial being that was relevant in the Eternals.
Right.
So
that they finally addressed 5 years later.
Yeah. Apparently this thing was just like hanging out for a minute. I mean, I understand it's probably just not been ignored, but yeah, it's not really been a plot point until now. The adamantine, when they introduced that, I was like, oh, this is a version of Earth where everything's the same except the Eternals happened, and Phase 4 is all taking place in like a separate universe. and now they have adamantine, and they're bringing in the Wolverine, and that's what they're doing. And then and then I've quickly dispelled that thought process because that didn't make any goddamn sense.
No.
But that's where my mind was originally trailing to with this movie. I thought, okay, we're in an alternate universe because none of this stuff is actually making sense chronologically. The Celestial being there, it's like the Eternals was a stupid project to bring in the first place, and they have not touched it. They don't want to touch it again because it was such a nightmare.
Yeah.
The-
I mean, everything that's happened so far since Endgame is same universe, but it's just so fucking convoluted and dumb that it's like, whatever. They're all just separate films doing their own thing. But, I mean, this one, I was expecting it to be bad. I didn't think I would be that bored, though. I thought there'd be more dumb fight scenes. But even the fight choreography in this movie sucks.
yeah,
It's weird. It almost looks like TV for TV.
you start off in the monastery where Captain America's just fighting some grunts, and then he fights a strong guy, right? Like he fights a guy who's a little bit stronger than the average guy.
I think they wanted this to kind of like mirror the beginning of Winter Soldier when
Yeah.
he's infiltrating the ship, because it happens basically the same way.
Right.
And then at the end, there's a strong guy.
Well, and then the fight scenes that you have in this, you're right. I think that the one I liked the most out of all of it was probably, I will say, I actually thought the fight with the Hulk at the end I enjoyed it. I thought that the Red Hulk was kind of cool to see going berserker, and I thought Anthony Mackie being tossed around and getting his ass whooped was not like, I wasn't like feeling good about it. I just thought that it was a guy who's supposed to be losing is losing, and he's not just like OP for like the sake of narrative.
Yeah.
So I thought that him losing in
He
that
should have
way,
been crushed 100 times, but plot armor. Plot armor is better than vibranium.
plot armor is way better than vibranium. I would much rather have plot armor than vibranium.
But yeah, I mean, there's not even like cohesion throughout the movie where you can even like talk about like certain plot points or whatever. It's more of just like we tried to do this like spy thriller kind of thing almost,
Mm-hmm.
like they did in Winter Soldier, and it's just dumb.
Yeah, it's Captain America goes rogue against the government again, which when we talked about when we talked about this movie a few weeks ago, we had one of our commenters being like, oh, it was when Anthony Mackie made the doesn't represent America like conversation.
Mm-hmm.
One of our commenters was like, it's he doesn't represent America. He's always fighting against the American government. I was like, dude, that is the most American thing in the world, to literally protest or fight against or subvert your own government. Like,
We're against all governments.
we were like, our revolution was badass as shit, dude. we started it. We jumped off by throwing a bunch of tea in the fucking river. Like, we kicked ass.
But yeah, so like if we can like kind of storyline this thing a little
We
bit.
should, just for the sake of convenience for our conversation about it.
So Cap goes in to find, or not to find, but to get adamantium that's being passed off to a buyer. A buyer doesn't show. Shit goes sideways. Oh, Giancarlo Esposito plays Sidewinder, which is
Yep.
almost another character that does not need to be in this movie whatsoever.
Right. Let me pull them up, but keep going.
But they get the adamantium, and it's basically a plan for what the leader is like another antagonist in this movie, and his plan is basically to get World War III going. Basically, is the
Mhm.
plan, in order for Harrison Ford to Hulk the fuck out and just be like, "Hey, see, he hasn't changed." Is like the entire like
Narrative.
plan.
Yeah.
And so he goes about it in very abstract fucking ways that really don't make any sense.
Right.
And you're just going from one scene to the next, just trying to get to that point to where the Red Hulk shows up.
Right. And so, but to keep it going from like the beginning of the movie, it's so he goes to get the adamantium, and then he is invited to the White House by Harrison Ford.
Which is treated like they're going to the fucking club, by the way. It's weird.
It is. They get a limo. They're super excited about it.
They're
And-
like, apparently he can just have his +1 of being Isaiah Bradley, which would be technically another mentor for him.
right, and a political prisoner who is like really harbors anti-government sentiment and is like also really fucking dangerous and strong.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, he's just his +1.
He fucking hates Ross,
like
hates the
bringing-
government, and it's like, you want to go to the White House? He's like, nah, man, I don't think I can do that. It's like, well, I guess we'll treat it like a club experience. It's like, cool, let's roll.
Let's roll. We dipping. So,
Yeah, they go into the White House, and it's it's not explained to why they're even invited or anything.
Yes,
A lot of points in this movie, you're just like, I have no idea what's going on until they say something later about it.
so the invite for the White House was actually because Captain America was responsible for recovering the adamantium, and Harrison Ford wanted him to politically to piece him up as like, hey, look,
Right.
Captain America's doing like Captain America things, and he
And now
saved
we're
the
gonna
day.
do some exposition with some holograms.
Exactly. Everyone loves holograms and shit, dude. You can't be mad at holograms. But
Next is an assassination attempt. Isaiah Bradley tries to shoot the president, so do like 5 other dudes in there.
yeah.
And it's immediately clear from like everyone in the theater that, oh, everyone was brainwashed. But they just like tiptoe around the subject for so long. And I think later, way later in the movie, Anthony Mackie brings it up. It's like, hey, maybe he was brainwashed. You know, I got this buddy Bucky that killed people for decades and he was
Yeah,
brainwashed. Why
it's
is
like-
this all of a sudden being treated like a new thing?
Yeah, that was really weird. The fact that nobody was like, hey, this guy was, well, it wasn't even just him. It was like 6 people in
Yeah.
the, like, or 5 people who, including him, who all tried to assassinate the president, and all of them were in the security details of their respective like leader and something. So
And they immediately show, like, right after the assassination attempt, too, that everyone was, like, checking their phones and was flashing lights in their face. And
Yeah.
you're like, all right, there's a clue. And then it just gets put by the
getting a
wayside again.
raging clue.
It's a hard of a clue.
Oh, let's follow your clue. But so also to that point, when you had the assassins mixed into like every group, like every political leader who was in that meeting, every political leader who was in that meeting had someone there from their party who was an assassin. And then all of the political leaders were like, it was your responsibility to vet our security for us. You dropped the ball, man.
This happened in your house. I just brought the people.
I brought my own assassin. Like, you didn't check him at the door? What the fuck?
Yeah. It goes into another, like, after this, Captain America, this is the dumb scene too, by the way, where he storms the bunker basically, and they're
Right.
like having a meeting. He's like, everyone out but him. And it's like, oh, okay, that was easy. It's
Yeah.
like, everyone's like, don't go in there, don't go in there. He just walks in.
Well, to be fair, I do think Captain America probably would get that red carpet treatment anywhere he went.
I guess.
I mean, it's not like anyone's expecting Captain America to assassinate the president unless he checked his phone. It's like, how did you okay? The doctor, what's his freaking name? The
leader.
damn it, I just had him pulled up. Shoot, why isn't he showing? Oh, Samuel Stearns.
Mhm.
Samuel Stearns. So he's apparently incredibly smart with predictions and with statistics, numbers, probability, all of that shit. And he is wrong every fucking time. Every time this guy has to make a prediction, apparently Captain America is just like immune from probability.
Right.
Like, it's just like,
I'm not in the equation.
I'm an X factor. You can't predict me.
But in that scene where he storms the room, he confronts him. Basically, we know that Thaddeus knows that the leader is behind it, but he still has Isaiah in prison because of politics. It's like, who wouldn't believe the black guy tried to kill the president?
Oh, we can't leave that. We have to touch that. There was definitely, you saw it too, right? We talked about this coming out of the
Yeah,
theater. Okay.
yeah.
So when they're doing immediately after the assassination attempt, he's running dang it. Isaiah Bradley's running because he was he was the one who tried to assassinate the president after being brainwashed. He's running, he gets away, he's escaping, he's getting across the Washington Monument and all the way across town. He's not all the way across town, but
I just realized this.
he got a block
He
away.
was a super soldier, right?
He's a super soldier.
Why does he run like an 80-year-old man still?
I don't know, man. He's an 80-year-old man super soldier, but he got very far. He got exactly 1 block away from the White House. And he's taken down, like, he finally snaps out of his brainwashing. It just happens.
The
It fades off.
brainwashing's never explained of like how just a bunch of flashing lights
Yeah.
can brainwash someone to do exactly what you want. It's odd.
It is
I
very
believe
strange.
Zoolander's brainwashing way more than this one.
Oh yeah, that was on point because that actually they kept him there for a day. It was fantastic, and he's easily manipulated.
And
so.
he's retarded.
Exactly. But Isaiah Bradley, he like gives up and surrenders, and but he has a problem with this because he's been in prison for like an experiment on for 30 years. He doesn't want to go back.
Can't put me back in the
So-
cell, man.
So Sam talks him down. He's like, no, seriously, just fucking give up. No one wants to.
Cell or death now? Which one?
Yeah, no one wants to hurt you. Just surrender and give up. And then you know that they tried to pull this racist bullshit, this race card bullshit, because
it was probably in the original version.
I'm sure it was. You could tell that there was like a hard cut, like right after this happened, where you had basically him being forced to the ground pretty aggressively. And then he comes back up with 3 white cops holding him up, propping him up, and you know they were trying to pull some fucking white cop on black criminal crime.
Cap Falcon's like, hey, take it easy, man.
Yeah, you don't need to do that, man. Just try to assassinate the president, man. Go easy. I will say that like I'm being a dick about Anthony Mackie, but I do actually think he did fine. I think we have a lot to complain about with his performance, but I'd still think he did what he was directed to do.
Yeah, I mean, it probably isn't his fault because I like him as an actor and seems like a good dude and all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you know, what the hell is the name of that in Ed, Edd and Eddy, that plank of wood? Is it just called Plank?
It's just called Plank.
Yeah, that's basically what it was this entire movie.
He was definitely just chameleoned into this role in this one, which sucks because he's done really good job by Sam. I mean, some of his lines have been a little cheesy or quirky, but Marvel. I mean, you don't go to Marvel for cinema.
Yeah, well, I mean, when it comes to dialogue, it's not like Marvel's been like great for dialogue. They're quippy and whatnot, but this movie, the dialogue is just like, who the fuck? I came out of the theater, I was like, did they give like a Make-A-Wish to like a 12-year-old to write this fucking thing?
Well, they did. That's every,
I guess,
every college graduate with a writing degree is basically a Make-A-Wish.
They just spent 4 years in adult daycare, and now they're ready to
ruin franchises one at a time. I think Anthony Mackie, guys, if you do want to see Anthony Mackie in a movie, I think that whatever criticism we're going to give this movie, we probably are not going to lay it directly at his feet. I think that this was definitely his weakest version of Captain America, or I'm sorry, his weakest version of either Captain America or Falcon throughout the entire MCU franchise so far. But I do think that has a lot more to do with like directing, editing, and writing than I think it's on him. But continuing on, after Isaiah's put in prison, he goes and has a conversation with him because now he's in the box and he's actually like, his life's over, man. It's fucked. But
which that was another point to where like, all right, how do you? Okay, so after that meeting that he storms into, President Ross is basically, hey, give it up right now, just
let it go.
Go on hiatus. We're not involving you in this whatsoever. And so immediately after that, he goes to the prison with Isaiah Bradley and has a meeting with him. I'm like, oh, that was fucking easy. Well, it turns out the shortest actress on earth paid off that security guard to let him go. It's like, how did she fucking know or anything?
Right.
Nothing's explained. Shit just happens.
Well, and so, okay, to the midget point you were bringing up. So the character's name is Ruth Bat Seraph. Shira Haas is the actress who played her. Absolutely bland, horrible, two-dimensional performance. So the idea is that her character was a widow, one of like from the Red Room with Black Widow's character, Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow. So she's like one of the sisters to like the Black Widow faction, I guess. And the difference between how Scarlett Johansson performed her Black Widow role and how she performs this Ruth Bat Seraph character is night and day. I thought it was
Black
horrible.
Widows, the Black Widows is supposed to be like seductive, badass killers.
Yeah.
This one, it's just like this
uppity,
grouchy,
or not uppity, but like this uptight, super strict, resting bitch face girl boss who's she's a good she's a good fighter, which you would expect from one of the widows,
right.
but in any other context
she's
surrounding
4'11", by the way.
That's taller than I was expecting. She looks like an absolute dwarf in this movie, and that's not like a ridicule thing. I'm not making fun of dwarves. I mean, they made
not this time anyway.
They made Peter Dinklage look like a freaking giant in a Infinity War. So I'm just saying, dwarves can be big too.
Dwarves can be big too.
We're all just different sizes of human.
What are you, marketing for Marvel?
Just name dropping random films that I Infinity War was actually good. So yeah, she did it horrible as one of the widow characters. She was apparently Ross's security detail, like head of security. So you know what, as one of the widow's characters, it makes sense that she would be ahead of the game. She would know stuff. She would be able to like predict next move kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess she could have just like followed him and whatnot, but you'd have
Right.
to have like that whole setup with the
guard.
guard beforehand too.
Right.
Whatever. It's another dumb thing.
It really was. You could have her just like spying on Sam without bringing that guard back into the conversation and be like, hey, I paid you off. Remember to let Captain America see his friend? You thought you're right. It was a ridiculous, stupid, completely unnecessary little add-on into it. Again, that looks like a cut. It looks like something that was
We have to explain why something's going down there for. Quick reshoot.
exactly. So, I mean, I think that guard was probably meant to have a little bit more in it, and then it turned out he was just like a complete plot device for no benefit to the story
But
whatsoever.
yeah, he gets mind controlled and killed later too. Anyway.
Yeah.
But
So-
then so he's basically talks to Isaiah Bradley and is like, dude, I'm gonna get you out of this. And then here starts Captain's investigation.
Let me jump in real quick. I will say that the conversation between Sam and Isaiah in the cells there, I thought that was actually kind of good. I thought they both did well in that specific scene. I won't pretend like it redeems the movie or it was
Yeah.
fantastic, but
It's passable.
it's passive. It was good acting. It was what we would want to have seen.
Actor.
It was what we would have wanted to see throughout the movie to make the movie better. Is good acting, good dialogue, and good conflict.
Yeah.
Which I think that scene gave us a little bit of that. So just to point out where there was good in this movie, just to be completely
Try to anyway.
as good faith as possible, right? So
Yeah, then they go back to Cap's apartment, I think. That was the weirdest looking apartment. He's got the big star and stripes in the
Yeah.
background. I was like, what the fuck? Is this his apartment or
Dude,
like some office?
dude, what a waste of space. You could have had a second floor with like an extra like hangout space up there. He's got like a pool table, and apparently I am so sick of every single superhero having a guy in a chair or a guy in the chair. You know,
Oh yeah, this is where he recruits Falcon, new Falcon. Falcon's been in the movie, by the way, for a while. He's a nothing character that's annoying. So
since
there's no point of mentioning him.
right, very early scene. I think that actor did horrible. I really do. I
I
think
think it was just a horribly written character. That's his one trait is that he doesn't shut the fuck up. But that's his whole personality.
right, and I think that it's not like it's you can't have a character off of a single trait. You have to have a character if you're gonna have a character, and you're supposed to have like a lot of emotional attachment to this character by the end of the film because of what he goes through specifically. And we'll keep going and we'll get to that. But you're supposed to actually care about this character. The fact that he's a yappity like nobody is not enough to get anybody to give a shit about him who's
Right.
like thinking critically about it. I mean, you got
It's the new Falcon. You're supposed to care about the new Falcon.
well, if you got, I mean, yeah, just to throw this out there,
Like all of his dialogue was like, no one on Earth talks like that, or like you just meet someone and is immediately like acts like they've known each other for decades.
The
It's a weird trait.
it is insanely bizarre. Like you actually have him talking like that to the guy on the ship they're on. Like so in the early parts of the movie when Captain America is attacking the monastery to try to get the adamantium, you have Falcon who's in this ship or airship providing support and intel and stuff, and there's another guy up there who's apparently new to the scene.
Right.
But you get the
gotta explain shit to him.
well, you get the impression he's like a higher ranking person, but just doesn't understand who Captain America is or how that fucking works. Like nobody, like first interaction with a superhero ever.
Yeah, it's like Captain America does something cool or whatever at the monastery, and the guy's like, "What the hell is that?" And then New Falcon explains, "Oh, by the way, he's got this suit from the Wakandans."
Yeah. Also, kind of one of those things you'd want to keep secret just for like.
Well, you think the upper military guy would know about this going into the mission?
Right. It's like, what resources do we have available to us? We have a superhero, and he's got like an invincible suit. Who's he up against? 12 mercenaries.
I think we got this.
We good? All right, cool. We got it. Lock it down. All right, I'm gonna go over there. Take a break. You guys got this.
I think, like in the original version of this movie, I think that the writers and everyone forgot that Sam isn't a super soldier, because I feel like at points they were shooting this movie where he's doing superhuman shit.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, oh yeah, shit, he's not a superhero.
doesn't he catch like a bus or something, or catch like a
Well,
really
he
big
catches the American flagpole that the Red Hulk swings at him with his fucking hands.
that? Yeah, yeah, he catches stuff. Yeah, I mean, you have to really expect that the
He's
suit is
doing some superhuman shit.
you have to really put in mental gymnastics effort to explain that to yourself. I mean, if you're just a normie who's like not paying attention,
Well, people would be like, it's the vibranium suit from the Wakandans. It's like, no, you also have to be superpowered. Black Panther was. He just didn't have a suit. He was also a superpowered dude.
yeah, okay, he didn't take the fucking serum. He should have. If he had taken the serum, we wouldn't have to have this conversation at all.
Well, they explain what the serum does really well in the first Captain America, where it's like it makes good great, it makes bad worse. And so, like, they never hit on the point, but it could be that Sam Wilson has his doubts or whatever, and feels like those doubts could turn worse if he does take it.
That's entirely justifiable. But
Or they
also,
could have said something like that, but they don't.
well,
They just say doesn't take it.
well, and whatever version of the super serum they're dealing with, it's not the doctors, like the OG doctors like serum, because all of that was destroyed, and Bruce Banner was trying to recreate the serum, so it's like and failed. So
Where did the serum come from then again?
the doctor in the first movie, like
No. I mean, like the ones that they have nowadays, where apparently that they can just give out.
that's what I'm saying. Like, no one told me that this show was required reading. Like, apparently you have to watch the show. They're referencing back to the serum, giving Captain America a choice, or giving Sam a choice to give it, because they're referencing a choice that he had. He should have taken the serum. He had the option.
Right.
So apparently it was gifted to him, but no one explained to me that you must have watched.
If it
Falcon
even
and
is
Winter
in
Soldier.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I don't know.
I don't
didn't
think-
watch that. Fucking
Nobody knows. Nobody saw it. Nobody watched that show. But so after all of that goes down, you go continuing on, and you finally get your first interaction with the Stern from this movie. Had so much references back to the 2008 Hulk movie with Edward Norton, which in hindsight, Edward Norton would have been a much better Hulk. We liked him for it. He would have been great, maybe the greatest, but Edward Norton would have been fantastic. Anyway, so Stern is actually a reference back to the OG OG Hulk movie back in 2008 when you had Edward Norton, and apparently, like, he was given gamma radiation too.
Yeah, there was an accident in that movie or whatever involving him, but it was just never addressed ever again.
Right.
Which I totally forgot about because the movie came out 17 fucking years ago. So
Well, and the issue is that the issue with this is that if I'm remembering correctly, the OG Hulk movie was actually the first canonical movie reference first canonical movie in the Infinity Saga. It doesn't start Captain America. It starts Edward Norton Jr. in the Hulk.
well, it doesn't start. No. Okay, yeah. It starts Incredible Hulk, then it was Iron Man, and blah, 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 blah.
Right. But my point is, like, the point that I'm making is that the Hulk movie is part of the MCU.
Yeah.
Because you had Thaddeus Ross in it, and then, like, you had Thaddeus Ross carrying through.
That's always been a thing, but everyone always assumed that it would be Iron Man.
Right, because you don't see Edward Norton Jr. in again, and you really
Edward
don't.
Norton Jr.?
Yeah,
Who's the junior?
don't worry about it. Forget it. Fuck it. I'm my brain be broken. But yeah, you don't see him. You don't get him back. We could get Mark Buffalo,
Yeah.
Mark Fluffalo.
Which is coming back again.
So over that nerd. Anyway,
Nerd.
what a dork. But anyway, so you get your first introduction to Stern, and Stern has actually been. You see a few tidbits of him, like some silhouette and shadow, and a little bit of dialogue and like suspenseful interactions with his persona, not his character, but his persona, where apparently he's like a genius at predictions, probability, all of this stuff. And then he tried to get Captain America to not actually show up to his laboratory, but apparently he was wrong about what Captain America would do when he put these certain events in front of him.
Oh, yeah. He's saying it was like a 77% chance or whatever that he wasn't going to show up or whatever.
Yeah. And then, of course, he shows up because Captain America is just unpredictable, apparently.
It's not part of the equation.
So this guy is the main antagonist for the entire movie.
Basically sets up all the shit going wrong. Somehow, I don't know, it's almost like a somehow Palpatine return kind of thing where it's like he's just doing shit somehow.
Well, and the frustrating thing about, like, his character is so fucking, like, ugly in like a bad cinema way.
He's
Like
got
not
cauliflower hair.
He's got cauliflower hair. So I wonder if we have a decent. I don't think we'll have a decent photo of him from.
He wasn't in any of the marketing.
He really wasn't. So anyway, guys, just to describe it for you guys listening, it's a green skin character because Hulkish, or because of Hulk gamma radiation and Hulk contamination. It's green skin, but he is still just a human person. Like he's still just a normal sized person, and his brain is bulging off the top of his head, looking like giant broccoli or cauliflower.
Yeah,
and he's just like a hideously designed freaking character, and not hideous in like a you're supposed to be like scared of him or like feel sorry for him. Hideous in a like imagine like a CGI Hunchback of Notre Dame. Like you're just ugly as shit, just completely asymmetrical in every way. It's like this guy. It's
it's bad.
Bad character design.
Just didn't. I mean, technically, in the comments, he just has like an elongated forehead and then just regular hair on top and whatnot.
Right.
So I mean, it still probably look a little weird in live action, but
you could tell this was like the last thing they did, though. It's like we don't. It's fine. Push it through.
We got this weird shit over here. Let's just throw it on top of his head.
So this guy being the main antagonist, he's locked up by Ross. He's locked up by Ross forever, ever since his accident. Or no, I'm sorry. He's locked up by Ross after Ross finds out he has heart problems, and he's trying to get this guy to fix his heart problems. And Stern, there's just a friendly reminder, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel if you are new. It is free. It's the best way to show your support and to help us grow. You can also always change your mind later. And if you haven't already, smash that like button to help us reach further out into that YouTube algorithm. Comment your thoughts on the video so far below. And if you haven't already, go check out the merch store. Links in the description. Got a lot of cool stuff in there. I think you guys are really going to enjoy. With that out of the way, let's get back to the video. Starts giving him these pills and whatever that are helping his heart, but also feeding him gamma radiation in it, converting him and turning him into Red Hulk. So that's actually how Harrison Ford's character becomes Red Hulk, is that he took a pill a day. And apparently it's that fucking easy.
Right. Yeah. So you can just turn people into the Hulk, by the way, now. Another thing, like Ross's whole arc is like, is he changed from what he was? And like the only time you really question it is like, does he know about the pills? But that's immediately answered, or he doesn't know.
Right.
And so he's just, he's flipped over a new leaf the entire movie.
Right.
He doesn't turn into the Hulk because he does something or whatever.
I think Ross's character arc is the only one that actually comes to conclusion in this movie.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Because you do get some reward at the end of it. So continuing along, he
wasn't doing anything morally gray really throughout the movie where we were like, why are you doing that?
No, everyone hates him because of his role in all of the other movies, or because of what he did in all the other movies, which wasn't even Harrison Ford's fault. Stop bullying Harrison Ford.
Yeah, I guess the only thing he did do was he was keeping
you know who it is.
Dr. Mann, which is the leader.
Right, Isaiah Bradley.
No, Samuel Stearns.
Oh, well, both of them.
Well, yeah, I guess. Well, he was just, the only thing he was doing that would have been questionable was keeping the knowledge of the leader is behind all this shit to himself.
Right.
Because then events wouldn't have played out the way it did.
Right. He could have let him go at any given moment, but he would have lost his pills.
Yeah, basically.
Which at that point you'd think like, hey, put a few security cameras in his lab or pull the footage from some of his security cameras in his lab and just see what he's doing. Like some high resolution cameras. Like,
why'd you give him the internet?
Yeah, that was a trick.
Like, let's give him a computer with, access to everything.
Yeah. Like a super genius with a grudge internet. That's always fun. That always plays out great. The other one I was referencing to was when he kept Isaiah Bradley locked up in prison after realizing that, oh no, it was all brainwashing. It was not his fault. And actually having one more super soldier on the field helping you might have actually gone good.
Yeah, but you needed a scapegoat so they didn't look into him.
Yeah.
The leader.
The leader. So this whole thing kind of comes with the leader to a head when he is trying to manipulate Ross and Captain America and all of these events that are happening in the first act of the film, leading the U.S. into a conflict with Japan, which, like, why Japan? Like,
because they couldn't have picked China.
Right, but I mean, like, well, actually, that would have been great. I would have loved to have seen some of that play out. But whole thing comes to a head when when he's convincing both parties that America is betraying Japan in these deals, this treaty that they're trying to form, the whole
to
first
get
act.
the adamantium from the Celestial. Yes,
Exactly. And this is Ross's whole mission in this movie, is to get this treaty signed. That's all he cares about. He's like, this is my legacy. This is going to bring the future of technology, healthcare, everything. This is adamantium. And as a viewer, you understand that adamantium, it's like game busters, like good. Like, it's a big deal. It's better than vibranium. Like, it gets presidents in the world hard. Like, this is something to get excited about.
Shit.
Yeah, this makes the Eternals worth it. Like, I wouldn't say that, but anyway, so the whole treaty is formed around trying to make some sort of trade / world negotiating treaty where they can evenly distribute the adamantium to everybody, and they use the word equity, not equally, making sure that all the small countries get extra of it,
Yeah, sure.
and all the big countries get littles of it. The ones who can't advance with it or can't advance
What
with
were
it
the
get
countries? It was France, India, Japan, and us.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Oh, fine, I guess.
I would have rather us go to war with France. That would have been easy.
Right?
That would have been cakewalk. But
Well, I mean, Japan would be easy too. They're legally not allowed to have a standing army. so
right.
It's only defensive measures.
Exactly. But so Japan thinks that the US stole the adamantium from them, or stole their portion of the adamantium, and stabbed them in the back so that they could get it, or get the only samples of it. And so Japan's like, oh, well, if you're just going to take our only sample, we're just going to like claim the Celestial for ourselves and harvest more of it.
Yeah, it's like Japan not talking to the other two countries that are in on it.
Like, I guess not. I mean, the U.S. is spearheading it, and so when it comes to like a negotiation, you probably wouldn't want too many paths of conversation to happen, because it like side conversations happening at the same time confuses the topic. Anyway, that's negotiation 102. So Japan like wages a war on the U.S. starts going
Well, not even really waging. They're kind of like a stalemate trying to get to the Celestial first.
right. Then the leader,
The all-knowing leader
Brainwash-
brainwashes a couple of jet fighter pilots and fires upon Japan. And a bit of communication, like it's almost like childish how these two leaders are.
yeah,
It's like, lost contact with the pilots or whatever. They're AWOL. We're not doing anything. And Japan's like, yeah, right.
I don't believe you.
Starts firing.
Fire everything. It's like, I don't care what it takes. You blow that president up.
It's such a like convoluted way of just having a big action scene, and I guess would be 2/3 of the way through the movie.
Well, and if you wanted to wait, if Japan was serious about being pissed off at the United States, they wouldn't put like 2 fighter pilots in the air to go fight their 2 fighter pilots and just see what happens. They would actually fucking attack.
Yeah, you're in, battleships and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, you're trying to claim it. You're not just gonna see what 2 pilots. It's not like you have 2.
Send out your best soldier. and I'll send out mine.
But by the way, the U.S. had Captain America, so you kind of just lose. But yeah,
Well, Black Captain, Falcon, Ant-Man.
yeah, it's exactly
He's
that.
got everyone's technology.
Exactly. So the Falcon is also a part of this, and I will say I was entertained by this. I understand like your criticism of the combat and the fighting in this didn't feel like revolutionary or fantastic in any way. But I thought this was actually kind of fun to watch, as far as seeing the Falcon seeing the Falcon and Captain America fly around and doing their like loop-de-loops and shit.
The loop-de-loops.
I was actually kind of entertained. I thought that part was kind of cool. You don't really have a lot of interactions like sky fights from any of the Marvel movies, really. Most of the fights are on the ground. You see Iron Man in the sky taking on the Chitauri in the original Avengers movie, but that's about as close to air combat that you get. I mean, some of it in Avengers movies where Iron Man is fighting in the sky.
We could have, like, when Cap goes up to take out the fighter jets.
Yeah.
You could have just, spliced in a bit of Top Gun. Just spliced in Top Gun, fights over, and you go back to Captain America. It would have been more entertaining, really.
It would have been kind of cool. honestly, this is backseat directing and backseat writing, which we have the luxury of doing because it's our channel. But
Do what I'm on.
but it would have been kind of cool to see a little bit larger scale of a conflict there. That
Yeah, instead of just 6 people up in the air
Ex-
doing.
exactly, and you don't even have. I mean, you have Captain America. Like his advanced vibranium suit should have been able to like 1v4 all of those fighter jets and not have really a problem at all. Iron Man would have had no problem taking them down. Literally, the Mark 1 from Iron Man
Yeah,
took
the
on
original.
2 fighter jets on its own, no backup, and with like shoot to kill orders on him. I mean, I don't remember Japan saying shoot to kill, like shoot Captain America down. I'm pretty sure they did not say he was hostile.
No, I don't think so.
So that no one had shoot to kill orders on Captain America.
It was almost like a way to prove their innocence by taking out their own planes, kind of thing.
Exactly. Meanwhile, keep shooting at him.
Yeah, I don't.
So my point is that it would have been cool if that conflict was larger scale, because you could have had like the ships shooting at each other, you could have had the like more planes in the air, and you could have had Captain America just do better. Do better, Captain
Do
America.
better, Captain America.
Exactly. You just have him do better. Have him like not actually have as much of an issue struggling against 2 fighter jets, and especially when he had help. The Falcon getting okay. So here's where the like you're supposed to really care about the Falcon. So the Falcon tries to intercept a missile, like, and he's a hothead.
Yeah. I
So
can do it. I can do it. I can do it.
exactly.
No, you can't.
We've seen that in like every movie where like you have a hothead. He's like, I
Yeah.
can do this. Like, no, you can't.
And he dies.
Pull off. And then he died. No, so he gets shot down by a missile, and he goes into the water, and then Captain America's like, fuck him. I'm just gonna finish up what I'm doing up here before going and saving.
Well, they're like search and rescues on it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm being a dick about it, but you're right.
But you don't really need to search. We know exactly where he is.
Right. Just
He's-
rescue.
He's floating.
It's just
there.
rescue.
they have yeah. Rescue's on the way. He has inflatables. He's fine.
Yeah. So so again, you're really, really, really supposed to care about Falcon. He's
It's like Iron Man's
Rhodey.
Rhodey moment.
Well, they didn't reference it. Okay, so jumping ahead quite a ways, and we'll come back and get back in order on this, but jumping ahead quite a ways towards, so the kid, like the Falcon is in the hospital and he wakes up, he's like, I wanted to be just like you.
Oh my god,
And-
that scene! I was like, can we just get this fucking movie over with?
Right. So the Falcon's talking to Captain America. He's like, I wanted to be just like you. I looked up to you. You were the only hero I thought I could be like. And he's like, you've never, like, you don't make mistakes. And I've made mistakes. And I'm just like, dude, he literally made the exact same mistake, except he shot down his buddy. Like, it was far worse. It was far. He shot down and crippled Rhodey. Well, hold on. Was crippled Rhodey a Skrull?
Technically, Rhodey's been a Skrull since 2016, which would have been Civil War. Yes.
Right. So, okay, he just crippled a Skrull.
Yeah.
It's just
I
a
don't-
Skrull.
Fucking dumb.
I know that was one of the worst like subversions of expectations in the entire franchise. Secret Wars
There's a
never
lot.
should have been canon.
There's a lot wrong.
I think that one's the worst though. I think you take away all of the emotional like impact from Rhodey's character, like that was
Well,
that
I mean, you got Samuel L. Jackson, fucking
Nobody cares.
Skrull.
nobody cares about Sammy Jackson. Yeah, that too. So I mean, the fact that they didn't even reference that Sam had made mistakes before, where he shot down other people, or he was responsible for shooting down other people. Technically, he didn't take the shot; he just dodged.
Yeah.
Which,
But I mean, yeah, it's like he never makes mistakes. It's like you're just trying to prop up Sam Wilson to be Captain America so hard in this entire movie, and
Yep.
it just doesn't fucking work.
no, and I mean, if you
You only spent 3 movies setting up Bucky to get the shield,
right, yeah, and then
only to subvert our expectations in Endgame.
well, and I do think that
So I hate that movie more and more every day.
which one?
Endgame. It's getting further and further down my list. There's so much wrong with that movie.
It's overanalyzed. I think we can all just appreciate that it was $1 billion. Was it a $2 billion movie? It was $1 billion. I know, but
I don't know anymore.
it's huge.
I mean,
huge.
once you release it a few times, yeah. I guess.
Right. That was an epic release. So you have Captain America, his buddy gets shot down. Then you have your first time seeing that Harrison Ford. Like, if you never watched a trailer, this would be your first clue that Harrison Ford is Red Hulk, because you start.
Which I don't know how you miss that.
Well, exactly. But I mean, again, normies, right? Like they just new superhero movie. Don't need to see the trailer. Just gonna go see it. So if you had no clue that Harrison Ford was going to be the Red Hulk, this is your first clue of it, because he starts getting pissed off and
big clue.
everything's panicking. Yeah, exactly. And then everyone goes back to Washington. Wars.
Yeah, he has that panic where he's like almost turns into the Hulk in the battleship or whatever.
Right.
I was like, cool. Maybe this was something that they were hiding where Hulk is in it a lot more. But I've heard from multiple people that he's in it for like 5 minutes. So I'm like, all right.
Well, then war has been averted because two American planes went down, and Captain America says, "Okay, we're just
Yeah, I guess everyone just goes home now.
well, he
Did
saved
they even like rectify the treaty or anything?
we Captain America saved the Japanese from being kamikazed.
Oh yeah,
So I almost forgot about that.
that's true.
It's so unimpressive as like as a point of writing that it's just like so
Wasn't there
forgettable.
parts or whatever where he goes like, really? Or
He's like,
something?
oh no,
oh no,
America's
we're gonna
gonna
use their own tactics against them.
America's gonna kamikaze the Japanese. That's gonna be a headline, dude. Captain America cannot be involved in this.
In Pearl Harbor too.
That's why that's why they made peace, was because Captain America.
Was it even mentioned though that they made peace and treaty signed or
Yeah.
anything like that?
Yeah, literally like one of the next scenes is them going back to America, and the Japan is back on the table. They're signing that, like Harrison Ford is announcing in the garden, or like in the garden.
Right.
Chair-
This was the hardest I've ever fought to stay awake during a movie. By the way,
You did good. You did good, kid.
I
You did,
almost had to walk out and just be like, all right,
just got stretch.
stretch. I was like, oof.
Dude, you could, like, the normies in the audience, like we heard them chuckling at like a few spots, and okay, there was a couple of moments
There's
to
a
laugh
good
at, but
bit
you
of
could
banter
tell.
between Bucky and Cap.
Yeah, this
After his
is
speech or whatever. It was like, yeah.
well, this is
generic
the
moment.
moment, right? Like after they leave the battlefield and go back home, then Falcon's in the hospital, and this is so. The two moments I think there were like a very small, like maybe 2 or 3 moments in this film that I actually was like, okay, done well. I liked that. It's the conversation with Isaiah and Sam in the jail, and then it's this moment when Falcon is in the hospital getting fixed up. Captain America is feeling down about himself, and
That
he's
was
not,
at the very end.
right. No, not a. Well, I mean, when Bucky visits him, no, it's in like the middle of the movie, right after
Yeah,
Falcon goes down, he's in surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's so Falcon or
Oh, when he's talking to Bucky.
yeah,
Yeah, you said when he's talking to Falcon. So
no, so Falcon gets hurt. He's in the hospital. He's dying.
Yeah.
He's in surgery. Sam's visiting him, and then Winter Soldier, Bucky, Congressman Winter Soldier.
Conquersman Bucky Winter Soldier.
Exactly. Oh my God, these titles are getting insane, dude. They're all like they're just collecting accolades like they're like Girl Scout
Yeah.
ribbons or
It's gonna
whatever.
be like a Game of Thrones announcement.
Yeah. So Bucky shows up. Good cameo. I thought it was appropriate. I thought it was going to be someone else. I thought it was going to be Isaiah after being set free, because the whole thing is like peace. They have peace now. So I thought Isaiah was going to show up. So Bucky showing up actually surprised me. So good cameo. I thought it was good for him to show up in this movie at some point. Their dynamic as characters is really forced throughout. I mean, throughout some of these movies,
I
but
think as actors, they're like they got good chemistry and they're,
they
like,
feed off
buddies
each
and
other
whatnot.
really well, right?
Yeah, but like it's just the shit that they have to spout out from the script is just
Well, what sucks about this is that you had a really good scene. You had a really deep, impactful, emotional scene here where you're literally having this kid that wasn't like a apprentice to Sam. Now he's in the hospital. He's almost dying. You have Bucky showing up, giving him emotional support and telling him, "You're the guy. There was a reason it was you. You're the right choice. Like, dude, get over it. Like, you're him now. So like."
I think it should have
you.
been a more harsh conversation than just patting Sam on the back the entire time.
Right. But here's what I will say is that everything you get from that scene as far as like reward for the good reward for the good chemistry between the characters and the fact that it was a pretty emotional scene. Then you have Sam drop a joke like, did your
Speech
writers make that speech up for you? It's like, yeah, it was good, right?
Yeah.
I was like,
More towards the end.
dude, just take the fucking W. Like, it was a great it was good. It was good dialogue. It was decent for that. It was decent for the movie. It could have been like the best scene in the movie if you just let the emotion play out in it. But you had to be like, hey, I'm sorry to hear about your dad. Did you hear about your You want to hear a knock knock joke? It's like you had a good conversation there. You just let it rest.
Sorry your buddy's dying, but I got a joke for you.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe Marvel just refuses to interact with deep storytelling and
Yeah, they do that all the time. They always undercut
their serious
moments
tones
with let's throw some humor in it, so it doesn't matter anymore.
But that was what this movie was missing, was actual feeling in the film. It
was a blank piece of wood movie.
It's plankton. Or
but
plank. Not
one
plankton.
thing I want to get to before we cut talking about this, because we've been talking about it for an hour already.
We got oh my god, we're an hour on it? Holy shit.
So
this is more than what they cut out of the film by only
Yes.
by only a little bit.
It's true.
It's only 20 minutes longer than what they cut out of the film.
But for the second climax of the movie, I guess, the leader has turned himself in or whatever, and gets Ross to turn to the Red Hulk. The way he goes about it, I think, is really fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Ross is making a speech or whatever. The leader hacks the speakers and basically replays the conversation they had on the phone earlier.
Yeah, which wasn't even that damning.
And they're getting Secret Service is trying to get him back, like he's just getting shot at or some shit, and he's like, I gotta tell the truth. I'm like, it is so easy to AI anything these days.
Yeah,
that could be your explanation. Everyone would be like, oh yeah, of course.
Got you. Yeah,
it's easy.
Well, and
and then he's getting mad because they won't let him get to the podium again.
Well, I think
so stupid.
It felt very much like they had one of Trump's press corps, because that press corps was at him. He was like, you remember when you kept this man in prison for forever because you're an evil bastard and he hates you. Also, I'm with CNN.
Before the reshoots, Ross was supposed to be kind of like a play on Trump for all the reshoots.
Right. Anthony Mackie came out only a couple of weeks ago telling everyone to calm down with that, because that was not. Yeah, Anthony Mackie tried to shut that down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it played out, because I do think that I could see what they were playing to in this, the press corps. Yeah. But
and there's a fight and blah blah blah, and then Captain America does talk no jutsu to the Hulk, and he calms down.
Yeah, he just talks to the Hulk after whooping his ass,
surviving what would have been basically getting an atomic bomb set on you.
Exactly. The absolute ass kicking. This is why I liked this scene, because what Marvel will tend to do is in a fight where you're obviously outclassed, they'll still make it look like the hero has the upper hand, or they'll go back and forth with it. In this one,
there's a lot of running.
There's a lot of running, trying to get him away from people, and he's doing the hero thing, but he is very, very aware that he is weaker than the Hulk and cannot win this fight. And his suit carries him throughout all of this, obviously, but you do see him do pretty well with it in the fight. It just felt very organic, and the fight felt organic. You're getting the Hulk away, and you're basically just surviving. You
have your excuses for surviving, vibranium and blah blah blah.
Exactly. There was nothing about this fight that felt forced, out of character, unavoidable. Everything in it made some practical sense. I would say that when both of them get knocked out, and then you have Anthony Mackie basically waking up first because all of the Secret Service got there first. I was like, dude, there's no way all of those people got there before the Hulk woke up. There's no way.
He gets up, he's like, please tell me I knocked him out, and then immediately wakes up.
Yep. And then he tries to talk him down again.
And talk no jutsu.
And after he took a nap, he chilled out, and and then he was Harrison Ford again, which was fucking weird. Watching that geriatric, ancient fossil Harrison Ford.
You don't want to watch 82-year-old shirtless.
No, that was I thought that the leader was ugly as shit.
Try looking at an 82-year-old body.
Try looking at it. This is gross. You looked way more ripped a second ago.
But the movie sucked. The acting sucked, except for Harrison, surprisingly.
The
plot sucked.
They brought Betty back for
no one cares.
No
one cares that Liv Tyler was in this for 10 seconds.
I would think that most Marvel fans don't even count the Hulk, 2008 Hulk, as part of the saga.
I don't really, because nothing connected to it until right now.
Well, Ross has been.
But Ross has been in it. He's been the actor from that going into the Marvel universe, but That was the only connecting tissue.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah.
I think they mentioned it maybe in Avengers when they're recruiting the Hulk. They kind of talk a little bit about
yeah, but that's yeah, so Ross is obviously relevant in the 2008 Hulk, then he's in Iron Man, then he's in Captain America, then he's in Infinity War, Avengers Age of Ultron. He's obviously relevant in that. I mean, Ross is very consistently in the show. I mean, basically any movie that Samuel Jackson isn't like the main government guy, Ross is. So like they'll go back and forth and interchange between like Ross and Samuel Jackson are just like never in the same movie.
I guess, yeah.
But so I mean, we definitely lost here. I think he would have played his own character much better. The actor who passed away, William Hurt. That would have been better, I think. Harrison Ford did actually good, I thought, but it was really weird.
Put more emotion into his performance than he has in like the last 4 movies he's been in.
Right. And none of it saved the film. And it didn't save anything. So let's talk reviews quick, and then we do have other stories we want to get to. So let's talk about the reviews. So we have the Rotten Tomatoes score and we have the IMDb score. Again, these are just like the first couple of nights it's been out last week when it was overseas. IMDb has this movie at a 6 out of 10. I think that's pretty fair. Maybe a little high, but I think that's still pretty fair. When you get to the Rotten Tomatoes scores, you start to see more of the criticism start to come in with a 50% from the critic score. And normally I would completely discount the critic score. I don't trust them to review it. However, they had absolutely no reason to shill for this movie.
I'm surprised there isn't more shilling for it.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
they had every reason to shill for it.
That's what. I'm sorry. I misspoke. Had that backwards. They had every reason to like do what they always do, which is prop up a Marvel film.
Right. You guys hate it because you're racist.
Exactly. That's really what I was what we were expecting to see. The audience score on Rotten Tomatoes really surprises me, and I made this case going into the film before seeing it, was that I think this movie is probably going to be for the normies. I think it's going to be for people who are not critical of films and who can turn their brain off and can just sit there and watch the screen explode for 2 hours. They don't care about the quality of the acting. They don't complain about any of it. They want to get out of their house. They want their kids to shut up for 2 hours. They want popcorn. They want a soda, and they just want to watch something.
How even normies don't get bored by this movie, because I was falling asleep during it.
Well, I think you have a lot of new characters being introduced with the Sidewinder. You have the leader. You have the new widow who's going to be. Who knows if she's going to stick around? But
I doubt it. I highly doubt it.
Her role was, I think she was probably the worst in it as far as like acting. Completely unconvincing, 2-dimensional character. It was like she's really short.
Well, everyone's 2-dimensional.
Are you?
I meant like a character.
It's a movie, duh.
I meant like character-wise, everyone kind of just sucked in this movie.
Everyone was, no one was impressive, I'll say, but her specifically really was not what you would want from a widow character, especially if she's gonna recur.
You just hate short people,
dude.
You are short.
I am short, like shorter than you, but like taller than some people, way taller than her.
Taller than some people.
And way taller than her.
If I go to Asia, dude.
Dude, I could see America from like the middle of Asia. Because that's no one in my way.
But review-wise, yeah, I don't know. Every video I've watched on this, no one likes it.
No, everyone's...
Even in the comment section, no one's like, well, this and this and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no one likes the movie.
Let me run through the critic consensus here real quick, because here's what we're hearing from the critic consensus on Rotten Tomatoes. And again... I want to treat this with the same giant grain of salt that I would any other film where the critics were saying the opposite. Like if a critic is hard praising a movie, I question it. If they're hard ridiculing a movie, I question it. So the fact they're right in the middle on this one, I still want to approach them with the same level of skepticism, but they are ringing true to like what my thought process was. So Anthony Mackie capably takes on Cap's mantle and shield, but Brave New World is too routine and overstuffed with uninteresting Easter eggs to feel like a worthy standalone adventure for his new Avengers leader, or for this new Avengers leader. So
I disagree with the first part.
You,
I don't think he capably takes up the shield. No.
do you still think? But do you still put that on Anthony Mackie, or do you still put that on like the director, or the writing? He was kind of told. Like, do you think that Anthony Mackie?
I think it's all encompassing.
Okay, so yeah, I think I agree mostly. I don't. I blame the writing. I blame the directing. I blame the production more than Anthony Mackie, but his performance still landed flat.
And it's also Falcon should never have become the next captain. So.
No. As far as like, so we got critic reviews, a lot of low ratings. We're not going to go through all of them, but I am curious what the audience score. I want to see where some of the positive reviews from the audience score came from. So these are kind of 3 out of 5, 3.5, 2.5, 2.5, 5. Okay. Love this movie. Ignored the forced hate.
Forced hate.
Yeah, forced hate, huh? I mean, we just did an hour on what all was wrong with it.
All right, Mark.
Okay, my son and I watched the movie and we think this is a 4.5. Okay, so my son and I watched the movie and we think it was good, a good one. One thing that I must have thought was going to happen from the poster was the shield being destroyed by Red Hulk, and eventually in a okay, so we don't get the full review from the front page. Okay. Eventually, in a later sequel, making a new one from the newly discovered material. Other than that, good.
Why would that even be like a very like? Oh, I was hoping this thing would happen. That's very consequential.
Well, and I mean, Captain America getting an adamantium shield. I mean, okay. It's an opinion.
It's a lot heavier though.
Right, it's an opinion for sure. Great story and cast chemistry. I mean, I will say, horrible story. Cast chemistry was actually pretty good, I thought.
I don't think so.
Overall, I mean, like, Anthony Mackie, like, molds to everyone on the screen. I think the issue I'm not putting an opinion on you, but I'm saying I think most of what your criticism points more towards dialogue and writing and story rather than how the actors are bouncing off each other.
Maybe, I suppose.
I mean, yeah, again, I'm not making your opinion for you. I'm just saying that that's kind of what it sounds more like. Here's another one. Overall, the movie hits exactly what it was meant to be. Oof.
Well, if it was meant to be a pile of shit.
Yeah. Okay, so overall, the movie is exactly what it was meant to be. Captain America doing his best to play both sides, helping the country, but also going against the government, setting up the future for making the next Avengers team. Red Hulk could use more screen time, but this was not his movie. I have a feeling this movie does set up World War Hulk, but we will see. Sam Wilson was a more dynamic Captain America. Whoa. Okay, so much to talk about there. Let's talk about it in reverse. Sam Wilson was a more dynamic Captain America. Okay, then maybe they had like a filler Captain America in the show, right? They had that one guy who was like the new Captain America.
That was a better Captain America.
I mean, honestly, I think Sam Wilson is definitely better than him, but I not in, I mean, just as a character, but not even close to more dynamic. If he's talking about the OG Chris Evans, no, he's not. Not even close. Doesn't even remotely resemble anything looking like what Captain America would look like relative to Steve Rogers. So no, he does not. You're wrong.
No, and they both basically have the same like doubts if they're even like up for it or whatever. And Bucky actually says in this movie, "Do you feel worthy of picking up Mjolnir?" Which I thought was a good. It's like, you know, you're not worthy,
right?
So you're not going to live up to it.
Well, I don't think Steve Rogers had expressed any doubt in anything after this was my big. The reason I hate Captain America as a character, like Steve Rogers' Captain America as a character, was because he absolutely never was wrong and never did have to doubt himself. He was literally an avatar for the writers to be like,
they've never given up. They're never giving up wins the day.
Well, I mean, in the first movie, or in his first movie, yeah, then he had doubts. But as soon as he comes back and after in Avengers, he was always the moral authority in every conversation that he had. Even in like the first Avengers, when he's talking to Iron Man, he's like, "You're just a guy in a suit. Like,
yeah,
who would take that away? You're a piece of shit. You're just a billionaire philanthropist, like playboy." But yeah, I hated Steve Rogers' character like throughout. I thought Chris Evans did a good job. I thought Captain America was in the right place in the right movies. But I still thought the character was annoying, insanely frustrating, and completely like had a level of moral elitism that I've never seen before. I hate him for it. Talking about the, I know I rambled a little bit there, but World War Hulk, I call absolute bullshit on that because first off, none of the Hulks that are in the MCU right now are even remotely like on the same page as far as like where they're supposed to
Technically,
be.
Red Hulk would kick every other Hulk's ass right now. Because we got yoga Professor Hulk right now.
Brainy Hulk, yeah.
Yeah.
Smart Hulk.
And then She-Hulk, no one gives a fuck about. She's dead to the MCU.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And then you have Hulk's son, Scar, which they completely nerfed.
That was weird.
That was horrible. You have Abomination, which Abomination could put up a serious fight. Honestly, my biggest frustration with the MCU is rather than leaning into like a darker story with the Hulk, they took all of them and said, how bright, shining, and smiley can we make all of them?
Yeah, it's gay.
Yeah.
Anywho.
All right.
I'll give a score and talk about something else.
Yeah. So I would say for a score, here's just to summarize. I'll let you give the final score. My thoughts on this movie were that
My final say?
you have final say. You have veto power. My my opinion on this Marvel film is that relative to all of the other Marvel projects that have come out ever since Endgame, this feels very much. It's better than it was better than Eternals. It was better than the Marvels, and I mean there are other Marvel projects that like Multiverse of Madness, the Quantum Verse or whatever, the Ant-Man project.
Quantumania.
Oh my god, yep, Quantumania. I mean, I think this one stands above most of them. This doesn't bring it back to being great movie or a great movie or even a great standalone Marvel film, but it is better than all of those, I would say. I think Anthony Mackie I think everyone in this movie did their best to make a good film, but I think that the reshoots, I think the story, the dialogue, the writing, I think the directing, like the budget was inflated, so they had no way to force creativity. I think they put way too much into it. Honestly, there's a lot working against this film, but in good faith, I think they did try to make a decent film here out of this. I do believe that. I think Anthony Mackie did try to make a good film out of this. And so what I will say is I think 5 is probably right, maybe leaning towards a 6, but I think I'm going to settle on a 5. It's not even close to being as bad as some of the others we've talked about on the channel. So
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't woke. It wasn't offensively bad like Marvel's or anything, but it was just bad. It was boring and gay. 4 out of 10.
All right. Let's wrap it up with that one. We are going to move on to our next story, and we've spent a long time on this one, so let's jump into more stories.
More?
All right. What do you want? We have 3 more stories to cover, and I'm passionate about 2 of them.
I'm passionate about one of them.
What?
Let's talk about Popper.
Harry Popper?
I tell myself that everything will end up alright. Just push yourself, test yourself, figure out what you like, and find your limits, don't be rigid, always work towards a prime. Surround yourself with open minds, people can change your life. A few friends with intent can help you feel alive. Find a passion, take some action, and with a little time, just be patient, make a statement, try to enjoy your life.